What happens with an impeachment if the person being impeached resigns? We take a look at the case of Commonwealth's attorney Ronnie Lee Goldie to find out.
And she was known as the coal miner's daughter, but many have not heard about her final days. One of her daughters tells us Loretta Lynn knew she was about to be taken to heaven.
Plus, keeping an eye on a few sleet pellets or snowflakes that could work into the region by the end of the weekend. We'll break down the threats next as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
The State House voted this week to impeach Commonwealth's attorney Ronnie Lee Goldie Jr. of Moorhead.
It is the first time the House has moved forward with an impeachment petition in 3 decades.
But Goldie also resigned this week. So what does that mean for his impeachment? Samantha Valentino tells us where the process currently stands and the details on what comes next.
Once someone says, oh, we ought to impeach this person, it's submitted to a committee to decide whether or not they're actually going to do it. The committee then says, yes, we want to impeach this person. It goes to the full House. The full House votes on it, and that's what just happened. Was the House voted to do an impeachment.
On Tuesday, the House voted in a unanimous bipartisan vote to impeach Commonwealth's attorney Ronnie Lee Goldie Jr. He's accused of doing favors for a woman facing prosecution in exchange for nude photos of her. Goldie was suspended last September.
We are the triers. In fact, we are to be considered jurors.
The Senate is responsible for trying the impeachment.
We need to be fair, neutral, and detached as jurors of this type of proceeding. Set it for basically a trial, in layman's terms, to come to the well of the Senate and in the Senate chamber.
Additionally, the Constitution prohibits any person who has been impeached and removed from holding any office of honor, trust, or profit under this Commonwealth. While Goldie resigned on Wednesday, his resignation will not go into effect until the end of the month.
This has been a conditional resignation, effective only on a certain date. So there can always be a withdrawal or revocation, I understand, of a resignation. So from communications I had with my general counsel, that's why they proceeded to move it forward and send it to the Senate.
In Frankfort, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
Senator Stivers could not speak to whether or not he anticipates this impeachment wrapping up by the end of the session, saying he has no preconceived notions on what it will entail.
The Kentucky State Senate has voted to ban TickTock from state-owned devices. The Senate voted 31-0 today to keep the dance app off state-owned and operated phones, computers, and other devices. Senator Robbie Mills says the reason is that TickTock is owned by a Chinese company, and federal officials are concerned the Chinese government can access certain sensitive information.
TickTock mines huge amounts of private data, which the Chinese government, a foreign adversary of the United States, would have access to.
The bill does not impact computers used by state university students. It now goes to the House.
Well, even as clouds push through the region this evening, one little speck of sunshine as the sun dips below the horizon from our Buffalo Mountain camera out there. So not a bad end to this Friday out there. Temperatures are getting cooler out there, mid-40s at Buffalo Mountain. Along Interstate 64, traffic is moving smoothly. 46 the current reading up there. Temperatures remain right around where we should be for highs this time of year, even though we finished a little above that today, in those middle to upper 40s and low 50s throughout the region. We'll continue to see a few clouds in the region as we head through tonight. Not overly concerned about any huge rainfall threats tonight or even tomorrow, but it's later in the weekend we have to watch. 31 for us tonight with, again, mostly to partly cloudy skies throughout the region. We'll continue to see kind of off and on cloud cover through the early parts of tomorrow. Guys, I'll have the very latest on when we see the latest potential for a little bit of snow in parts of the region. That's in a few minutes.
Thank you, Evan. Last night, we brought you the story of one state senator drafting a bill to rename Paintsville Lake State Park after Loretta Lynn, following a petition that gathered thousands of signatures to honor the Johnson County native. We also had reaction from one of Loretta's daughters.
Tonight, WYMT's Dakota Makerist continues his conversation with Peggy Lynn, who is getting ready to spend the first Valentine's Day without the mother that she and the world loved so much.
When you think of Johnson County, you cannot help but think of the queen of country music, Loretta Lynn. The Lynn family matriarch died at the age of 90 last October.
Her favorite thing in the last month was banana pudding and watermelon. And so I always say banana pudding is love. So that's how we show love.
Peggy Lynn, one of Loretta's twin daughters, tells me her mom was actually full of energy before she died and wanted all of her kids by her side at the end.
And she said, honey, your daddy's here and I'm going to heaven. He told me he's taking me by the hand and he's taking me to heaven tonight. My mom passed away in the most peaceful, in her sleep, just the most serene, nothing. There was no grimace, nothing. She just looked like a little sleeping angel. And so my dad came and took her to heaven. That's what she said.
Peggy became Loretta's caregiver after she suffered a stroke several years ago. A mother and daughter bond words cannot describe.
I think the thing that really hit me is there is going to be no one in my life ever again that will love me like that. Just one.
Loretta was a trailblazer for women in country music and really women everywhere, writing songs like The Pill that were once banned from radio stations because of the strong lyrics, while opening doors for new country artists, not realizing the path she was paving for others to follow. And Peggy says it all started when her dad, Doolittle Lynn, saw Loretta's talent.
My dad was a World War II vet. He just came home from Germany and France, so he had seen the world. He, introduced this little girl from Butcher Holler to a lot of different things, and I think that the world has been better off because of that.
Nothing lives here anymore except the memories of a coal miner's daughter.
A world thankful for our coal miner's daughter. Dakota Makerist, WYMT Mountain News.
Peggy tells us her family members are still taking the loss of Loretta day by day. She was buried in a private family cemetery at her ranch in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. We'll be right back.